What I found most rewarding in being a community health nurse is my interaction with the society, my interaction with the village women. Because we're taking this health to the grassroots. And that is the primary healthcare initiative. And this primary healthcare initiative is about bringing healthcare to where people live and work. And what do? We do health education, telling them what they need to do to remain healthy. We talk about maternal and child health care, she already rightly said. When we talk about pregnant women, take care of them. They go through the antenatal to ensure that at the end of the pregnancy, we have a life baby and a life mother. We talk about environmental sanitation, which is a topic of this year's annual health day. Wellness through personal and environmental hygiene. In that environmental sanitation, we talk about how do you keep your environment clean? How do you take care of your environment so that the environment will be healthy? We talk about clearing the bushes around. We talk about destroying or doing away with empty containers that may likely contain water that mosquito would love to breed there. Then we talk about food and nutrition. How do we make the village women, how do we, the village people, how do we ensure that they have good nutrition? We don't want to talking about burger, talking about fried rice. We know our local food that they need to eat to be healthy. Then we talk about essential drugs. There are some drugs that are in essential drug list. That is essential. When you talk about essential, it means a drug that is mostly needed.
Can you read out some?
We talk about anti-malaria because our area is we have malaria in our society. We talk about worm expellers. We talk about painkillers. We talk about antipyretic. We talk about small antibiotics. Face the antibiotics that will help them to remain healthy.
You're still watching Signature Morning, and the Southeast Vision 2050 Stakeholders Forum, which is holding at the International Conference Center. This is the third day, and of course, this has attracted a lot of dignitaries and Southeast governors and high-profile politicians and people, coming to talk about how to improve the Southeast region. Well, make sure to stay tuned because we'll be having our reporter coming to the studio to give us more info and more insight on what exactly is happening at the event. Well, for now, we're going to our next discussion for this morning, which is looking at the number of out-of-school children in northern Nigeria. Now we see that the insecurity issue in northern Nigeria has become severe, and this has caused education crisis. We see a lot of students and children out of school because of this issue, and also other issues surrounding poverty and displacement and a plethora of other things which we'll be discussing this morning. Now we have joining us via Zoom Alhaji Isiaka Musa, who is a public affairs analyst, to talk on the crisis of out-of-school children in northern Nigeria. You're very much welcome to the program. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome. Now, looking at this issue of out-of-school children, from your analysis, what would you say is the primary issue around this out-of-school children? what would you say are the causes of this, particularly in northern Nigeria, and what is the impact among the children and the students there?
Yes, once again, good morning, everyone. The out of school children is a serious problem to the country. From the beginning of time, the problem of skepticism is there. It was believed in the North that the Western education is a deliberate ploy by the missionaries to Christianize Nigeria. So the weak point why people have that fear of going to school, and that the belief is that the school is opened by the missionaries, and it's a way to convert people to Christianity. That has been the old things that have been preventing people from going to school. Another one is the moral reasons. And people believe that some of the things that are taught in the schools are against Islamic jurisprudence and against morality, and that there are some of the things, the way of our culture, that is being defiled by some of those things happening in the school. But presently, because of education and awareness, and people were able to be convinced that education and Christianity are two different things. So the major problem that is happening in the North right now is poverty and insecurity. Majorly insecurity, because people cannot go to school. A lot of students in the school will be kidnapped, taken away to the bush. The parent will be up and doing. Then some of them don't even have money to save them. So everybody is scared, and life is more important. Life is better than even everything in life, everything. So that is one of the major reasons in the North now. Everywhere you go now, there's insecurity. Government is trying their best, but their best is not good enough. So that thing is generating a lot of problem in the North. When you go there now, you see a lot of children begging on the street, hawking, and a lot of other things. Poverty is another serious issue again, because a lot of people are giving too many birth to so many children. They cannot cater for them. So that's another one of the problems that is there. So a lot of one person giving birth to about 10 or 12 children, and is not financially capable. So, and he's using that excuse of security and otherwise. Another problem we have seriously is that the government is not itself is not even doing well, because if they are putting enough security in the school and then people are safeguarded, then things like this will not happen. And the government, again, if you go to some schools, some villages, in the interior villages, you will not see schools. Even if there's school there will not be teacher, because people will be afraid to go to that the hinterland to teach. So a lot of things are responsible for the out of school children, and that is why they are now, and those who did not go to school now are the very cheap tools in the hands of the criminals. They can use them for this Boko Haram things. They use them for this kidnapping, and they are using them for other various crimes. So that is the major problem. So the major problem, the government, the poverty, and the insecurity, and then cultural and moral factors.
All right, then we understand that there's so many factors contributing to the out of school practice in the northern part of Nigeria. But why is the impact, or rather, what is the impact of having millions of uneducated children in the northern part of Nigeria? What's the impact on the northern Nigeria's long-term security, economic, and social cohesion? Like, how does this affect the entire sector of this part in the northern Nigeria?
As you can see, they said an idle mind is the devil's workshop. So somebody who is not educated may not be useful in anything, and everybody needs something to take for upkeeping. And so That is how they are easily recruited for this Boko Haram thing, easily recruited for electoral rigging and all these criminalities that you see around. Those are the people those are the major factors that lead to all those things. Where you go anywhere now, you can't. A lot of people cannot travel to their home now because of armed robbers, because of kidnappers, and so those are the people that if somebody is well learned and educated, he will have something reasonable doing. He will have to think well. He will not go into all those vices. So those are the things that are the major effect. And then the productivity will be very low. Now, a lot of people, before, if somebody did not go to school, he will go to farm. Now, people cannot go to farm. And even there, so a lot of them, they became idle, and then become tools for criminalities. Economic activity are no longer moving forward. So all things are stagnant.
Now let's talk about the issue of Almajiri children. Now we see that most of these children are outside formal education, outside social protection. Most of the Almajiri schools built under past administration, most of them are now abandoned or repurposed. Why do we see that successive governments have failed to properly integrate this Almajiri and the Almajiri education system into formal basic education so that it can incorporate these children and keep them out of the streets?
The problem with the government right now is that government are using all those things for personal branding, personal brand, not that they want to help the people. If you remember in the West, in the olden days, there's what we call basic education, basic and compulsory education. If government want to do it, they can do it. If you say, okay, this is Almajiri school and you want to structure it, after structuring it, you now give a command that you don't want to see any child in the morning selling anything or begging. When the government started enforcing it, that will go a long way. That is how the West were able to go to school, because some people did not even go to school because they want to go, but for the fear of the law. They went for the fear of the law. So if government would let government not do lip service about everything, if we open the school, make enough provision, and then enforce the law, make everybody, we call it basic and compulsory education. If our government in every state has enforced that, you see that things will go normal.
Okay, so looking at this situation, our current federal and state government policies and education budgets, are they even sufficient enough to address this crisis, or they are misdirected at the end of the day?
They are not reasonable. The amount budgeted for education are not reasonable, and they are not even used. They are not using them. It's not even used. They are not using them. If you go to schools now, you will not see anything reasonable. Teachers don't even have to wait to stay. Children, they don't even have classrooms. A lot of them stay on the blocks. Some of them they come with their own personal chairs from home. So government need to do a lot, because we, in Nigeria, in our constitution, we feel the basic education is compulsory, and the government has to give at least people basic education. If they are doing it well, Nigeria will be better for it.
Now, out of these children that are out of school, most of them are also young girls. And we find that the reason why most of these girls are out of school is because of the issue of early marriage or girls' exclusion from education. So how significant would you say that this issue is when it comes to keeping children out of school? How prominent would you say it is in northern Nigeria, and when it comes to early marriage, girls' exclusion in education, and what it contributes to keeping them out of school?
The issue of early marriage is a problem in the north, but not as people think. People are taking it. There's no way you can marry a girl before 15. And before 15, if the girl is serious, it at least would have come out of secondary school. So it is not not the major factor, but it's a part of it, but it's not the major factor. So the problem they are having about women education is that most of the schools will advise that the girls should cut their hairs, dress in some certain ways, and which they are looking at it is against their religion. That is a major problem, not the early marriage. Early marriage is one of the factors, but it's not the major factor. Major factor is the perceptions and the culture. The normal household girls want to come out with her hijab and all the rest. But when you're coming to school, they say you should not dress in this way, and that way will not will be seen as going against their religion. And people believe that even if after training this girl is not going to be useful to me, I'll still marry her out. So all those old beliefs that are, but there are some of the, one of the factors, but not the major factor. The major factor is the way we think and then the insecurities.
So how can religious leaders and traditional leaders, be more efficiently or rather effectively engaged in promoting formal education, especially for the girls? Because just like you said, they don't want to go through the process of doing all that only to marry her out, and they feel like their resources have been wasted.
Yes. The religious leaders has a role to play because wrong interpretation of the religious book is the problem we have in Nigeria. A lot of people interpret the religious book in a negative way, thereby making people see things from a wrong perspective. So religious people, leaders are encouraged to please teach good morals, not the one that will put Nigeria in trouble. Because a lot of things that are happening in Nigeria now is because of wrong preaching, wrong interpretation of holy books. So we advise that the heads of religious organizations should stand up and be counted as among the good people of Nigeria.
What about the political leaders in the north? Do you think that they, sufficiently treat education as a priority, both as a development priority, security priority, or do you think that they still treat it as a secondary issue as opposed to the other issues that need to be attended to?
The politicians are not doing a lot. They're not doing much because they are enjoying. They are reaping from it because they know the more illiterate and poor people becomes, the more easy it tools they are. So they are enjoying it. So if people are profiting from something, they don't want to change it. That's why if they're serious about it, the constitution would have changed by now.
Okay, then, looking at the security situation in the northern Nigeria, what role should security agencies play in making schools safe? I mean, that's the point of conversation today, in making schools safe, particularly in conflict-affected states.
The issue of insecurity, the government is trying on their part. The security systems are trying their best, but even the societies were not even helping issues because there's a conspiracy. Because it's not something that there are not people that are wearing uniform. They are part of us. Some of the community knows who are they, but they cover them because they are their brother, their friends, and their relatives. If everybody join hands to fight this menace, it wouldn't have stayed this long. And government too, some of them, from what we are hearing, some of the government agencies, government people are still part of it. So that is why the thing is prolonging for too long a time. If all of us join hands and we say we don't want this insecurity, it will go away because those who are the criminals are our brothers, our friends, and our relatives. Some of them we know, the community knows them, but because it's their people, they don't talk about them. If somebody that if you come to town, you become a human being. But if you enter bush, you become a Boko Haram. So that's why it's not easy to clean them off because there is no clear demarcation between a clean person and a Boko Haram.
Now, if we still have high level of out of school children in the north over the years as a result of insecurity or other issues, poverty as well. What would you say are the long-term national consequences of this when it comes to security, when it comes to employment, and Nigeria's stance when it comes to the global economy and what is required of Nigerians?
The consequence and then the effect is what we are even seeing now. The one we are seeing now is the consequence of those who did not go to school before. And then that is because Nigeria, when there's what we call the ripple effect, what has happened today, when it's happening tomorrow, it will happen in multiple fold. So those people who are out of school in the olden days that have grown old without holding anything in their hands, those are the ones that are causing this problem now. So in future, there's going to be more trouble if this menace of out of school is not taken care of.
All right, then, looking at the world today, the world is evolving, technology is becoming the order of the day. How can technology, alternative schooling models, and also community-based education help us mitigate this particular problem and reach children in the hard to access areas, since the cases of insecurity has also been the order of the day?
Yes, technology is to help the world, but Nigeria we are not we're not using it much. In some developed countries, children can be in their houses and then be taking lectures, so that they will not be too much exposed to all these crises, so that going to school will not be as regular as the with the incident of COVID-19. It is clear that anything can be done from anywhere. So schooling shouldn't be. It must not be a classroom. A classroom should not be in one place alone. So we can put a strategy in place that even children can be in their houses and then they attend the lecture. It happens in Lagos here. Lagos, a lot of people during the COVID, a lot of people were taking lectures at home. So some of those things we should try to see how to take the insecurity away, and then launch into technology to ensure that children can learn from far and near.
All right. Now let's look at what can actually work when it comes to helping these children and also improving the situation. What other interventions do you think is necessary to help with reducing the number of out-of-school children, particularly in the north, that could have positive impact? Now, apart from the government, looking at individuals as well, and even international bodies and the roles that they play with helping in this situation.
Yes, as an individual play a lot of roles in this out-of-school children. I remember when we were even going to school, in the morning, every teacher would take a roll call. Anybody who is not in the school, that is, and in the village setting, if anybody who is not in the school, they know his house, they send people to go to him and ask, what happened to you? Why are you not in the school? And if he's not like he's sick or do anything, they have to take him back to school, and they will make sure they enforce that everybody goes to school. So that will help. It will help in this modern society, so that community-wise they can make a law that during school hour, no child is allowed to walk around, to do street selling or to street begging. All those things help a lot. And then we need to encourage ourselves, advise our children, tell them the value of education, so that they don't think they're just going there to waste their time. Because some people won't go to school not because they want to go, but because they were forced to go. And some people go because they were persuaded, advised that, and told the good things about schooling. So all those things will help our children to go to school. And the only way is that government should make affordable schools, so that poverty will not be a major problem that affecting them.
All right. So if urgent action is not taken, what is your advice to the Nigerian government, the state government, and even at the grassroots on what to put in place in order to help mitigate with this problem?
In the future, in the past, everybody, when we are growing up, you look at everybody as your father, everybody control you, everybody advise you, and everybody make sure you do the right thing. Because they believe that if I train my own child and another person's child is not well trained, eventually they are going to be friends, or they are going to meet in one school or the other. So, and there is what we call the peer group pressure. So that is why everybody should take care of everybody, so that at the end, everybody will be better for it. Because if we don't take care of these things now, in the future, even if we have money, we can't come out. Even if we have money, there's no food to buy. Even if we have money, you buy your car, there's no road to pass. So all these things are multiple effects that will come in the later time. So all of us should be part of this and ensure that children go to school, get the necessary education, so that everybody will be productive and the nation will be good for that.
All right, thank you so much, Alhaji Ishaka Musa, for joining us this morning. That conversation was exactly what we needed to talk about to address this particular issue that we've been having in Nigeria.
Thank you very much, and Signature TV, you are picking out what Nigeria needed. You are encouraging the government and the people to know what they are supposed to know. So it's a nice thing. God will bless you, and good day to Nigeria.
Amen. God bless you too, Alhaji Ishaka Musa. He is a public affairs analyst and opinion leader. Of course, we looked at the crisis of out-of-school children in northern Nigeria. That conversation is going to be uploaded on our YouTube page, and you can always join us on further conversations. We'll go on a short break, and when we return, we'll have Christopher Lilly join us to talk about the events going on at the ICC ENUGU.
Signaturetv, news in your pocket.
Health is more than a diagnosis. It's your lifestyle, your choices, and your future. Join us on Inside Health, your weekly deep dive into the stories, science, and solutions shaping your well-being. From expert interviews to real-life journeys of healing and hope, we cover it all.
One of the complications of cancer management or treatment is they have some of them at one point in time, you see them having anemia. Okay, so you see them at times being transfused. But at the same time, you come in with a diet.
Nutrition, mental health, innovations in medicine, fitness, and everyday wellness. Whether you're managing a condition, staying informed, or just living your best life, Inside Health is your trusted guide.
I'm Signaturetv, and I'll be with you every week on Inside Health, only on Signaturetv.
The way we see the world shapes the way we change it. Gender isn't just a checkbox, it's a lens. One that helps us understand the world more deeply and act more fairly. Gender Perspectives, a program for those ready to see more, do more, and be more. Designed to challenge assumptions, ignite conversations, and build inclusive solutions across every sector of society.
We are not, fighting the men. We are not saying we are equal in terms of rights. We're only asking they should recognize our existence.
Join us on Gender Perspectives, showing every Saturday by 4 p.m. Repeat every Wednesdays by 5 p.m. and Thursdays by 3 p.m. Change begins with perspective. Let's widen yours.
Get plugged into the heartbeat of entertainment on The Hub, your ultimate show on e-vibes. From trending stories and social media drama to top charting music, must-watch movies and exciting moments from the world of arts, we've got it all. Join us for unmissable conversations with your favorite entertainment personalities, plus fun segments every week.
I should try harder, so...
Okay, I don't know that one.
Outfit of the day.
Oh, I don't do that.
No.
That's some Gen Z stuff.
Oh, now you say it's a Gen Z stuff.
It's everything you love about entertainment, served fresh every week at 1 p.m. with weekend repeats just in case you missed it. The Hubs on e-vibes, where the vibes never stop. Only on Signaturetv.
Thank you for staying with us. Now we have in the studio with us Christopher Lely, our very own reporter, here to tell us about the Southeast Vision 2050 Stakeholders Forum at the ICC. Christopher, you're welcome. Good morning.
Good morning, Chris.
Girls, you guys are really looking great.
Thank you.
Over to the matter for
Over to
today.
you. Tell us. I mean, you went there,
Yeah.
you did the first day and the second day as well. So tell us, what exactly is that all about? What's the theme? What's happening?
Yeah, of course, it's charting a shared path, to sustainable prosperity of the Southeast. It's like if there's any time we needed this very summit, it's now. Okay. The Southeast is known for challenges, a couple of challenges, right from the post-war trauma that the Southeast experienced, the gap in infrastructure. We talk about the poor roads and poor commitment and investment, even from foreigners and even locally, different challenges that the Southeast experience, poor electricity, investment mainly. Just like every other, region peculiar to their challenges, the Southeast have theirs. And that's the reason for this very commission. The essence is to bridge the gap, to develop the Southeast infrastructure-wise. Of course, even at the summits, we have different stakeholders from the diaspora. We have the ambassador of Kenya, We also have the UNDP representative that came as well. We have different governors, stakeholders, policymakers. We even have Stephanie Okereke.
Interesting.
Yeah. So these people, the essence of these different sector holders to be around is to share the thoughts, come up with policies that could help bridge the gap and, bring the Southeast to the map for regional growth. So looking at the challenges that the Southeast have experienced so far, the calls from the different government, this is not like the first time that the different governors have tried to, come together to, kind of bring out the map to manage or solve the menace of insecurity and infrastructure and development. Somehow, it didn't really click like that.
Okay.
But this time around, we had all the governors, although one was represented, but all the governors were available, were present, to share their thoughts and what the region needs to grow and get to the next level. And we also had the president, the vice president, Kashim Shettima, was around as well, not a representative this time. So it was a well-packed, and if you could, I wish you were there, ladies, you could see the faces of the people. There was this hope, this expectation, like the future is bright. If I am to borrow what the Enugu state governor used to say, tomorrow is here, I'd rather say the future for the Southeast is here.
Yeah. All right, so just as you mentioned, the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, was around yesterday.
Yeah.
Can you tell us some of the things that he had highlighted during his speech?
All right, so the Vice President launched a 25-year development blueprint, talking about the Southeast and Vision 2050. Now, this is aimed to help the region, all right? It's aimed to help the region. According to him, the Southeast region is the future, the economic future of Nigeria, you get? And the essence of this is to help build the region economic-wise, infrastructure, even insecurity, to manage that as well. And another statement he made also was that the President Bola Tinubu, has approved the establishment of the Southeast Development Company Limited.
Okay.
Southeast, Company Limited. Investment Company Limited. Southeast Investment Company Limited. We need to get that right. Now, the essence of this is to, pull in resources, from the diaspora, from the capital markets, from financial institutions to help, work on the region. So it is exciting to know that the president, the vice president has got our back. So we are not alone in this. It's a very, very beautiful one, but I don't know if you are curious, as I am curious, to see one or two, message from the president, right? Maybe to get his thoughts and hear what he said.
All right, let's have a view of that. Do you have the clip?
Okay, of course we have the clip from the president where I was making the speech, so we could just hear one or two.
All right, let's take a look at that video and hear what was said by the president, the vice president.
Yeah.
It looks like we do not have that of the vice president, but we have the one of Governor Peter Mbah. But before we look at that, let's talk about what he said. I mean, you've mentioned that the Southeast governors were present, so let's talk about what each of them said and the highlights of what they presented during their speech, and what hopes they have for the Southeast.
All right, so we had the governors from the different states. We have the Abia, we have Enugu, we have Ebonyi, we have Imo, and then
Anambra
as well. We're all present, apart from the Imo State governor that was represented by the Speaker of the State House of Assembly.
Okay.
Yeah, so they all had their statements. But one thing that stood out, let's start with home. Let's start from home. That's Governor Mbah. Governor Mbah he was impressed. He established the fact that it was a bold step for the Southeast governors to come together to, create this, integrate the region, coming together to develop the region and rebuild it. But one thing he said that stood out was the creation of a unified Southeast marketplace. Imagine what that would cost. I can imagine where you have a central marketplace where there is no, something like this is an ENUGU market, this is a Boya market, this is an Anambra market, a central market. And what this brings about is intra-trade in the region. Intra-trade. And this will also bring about unity. We have the likes of a boy that sometimes feels secluded, like they're not part of the East. But this will encourage unity in all the states coming together, uniting to buy and sell. And this will also boost economic ties as well. So it's a lot. And of course, infrastructure, if you're doing stuff like that, one of those edifices will be put out there, employment will come out as well. Of course, you have the chairman to the markets now. You have shops as well and different things. And this is improvement. And this, if this could actually come to reality, we believe this would come to reality. It really boosts a lot, economy, infrastructure, and also insecurity. Because if you're building a market, a central market, where other states can also have a say in that market, then the unity has to be tight. So that was one of the things that the governor of Enugu State said that really, really stood out for me. Okay. And another thing that was said also, we'll take a look from Alex Oti, that's the Abia State governor. I like that man. All right, so when he walked in, the man get fans, so like they were cheering and screaming. It just has that thing. So
I think people are impressed with him.
Yeah, people are really impressed with him, like really, really impressed with him. When he came in, he said a couple of things, right? He outlined a couple of things. And one thing he said that stood out was that it talks about the enormous natural resources, which include the oil, the gas, and solid minerals that should be fully harnessed to develop the region, And this is what the Southeast is blessed with. We are blessed with natural resources that we really don't take advantage of like that. And he is saying that these things should be harnessed to bring the region, to the forefront for it to be better. And he also talked about energy.
Power generation, distribution, and the transmission as well. So imagine all of these things are in place. Do you know what will happen to the Southeast region? Will look like Dubai.
Come on.
I love that vision.
Yes, and if I'm not mistaken, I hope I am not. He said something about the states having their own power supply, not from the federal government, state-owned power supply, electricity distribution. So this is what it should look like. If every state, can have something like this, and they have a means of, powering the region, collective efforts, do you know how light will come upon this region and businesses will boom? Because if you're talking about business, you talk about power supply. How would business keep living on diesel and fuel? If they know, if foreigners, even Nigerians want to do business, we want to invest, and they're certain that a particular area don't have issues with power supply, they will gladly want to try it out there.
Of course.
And this will encourage business people to want to, and not just business people that want to leave, maybe change location, and they will start to reason the Southeast as a place to go and relocate to and live a happy life. So it's something that we all look forward to, and it's really going to go a long way. So this 2050 is really, really jam-packed, the vision, Southeast Vision 2050. And we also have the Anambra State Governor, Chiko Masoludo, who talked about the joint funding. You understand? He said a couple of things, right? But what stood out for me was the joint funding of regional security. So we talk about security, it shouldn't just be a state issue, it should be a regional issue, where they map out blueprints, how they can come about, creating measures that will save, that will protect the people, the citizens of the region, so that they don't fall victim of maybe kidnapping, armed robbery, and the rest. They also talked about the highways. Yeah, you mentioned the highways, you mentioned even the seaports, and then the railways as well. These areas, strategic areas that also needs to be protected. Security should, be very, very much well positioned in those areas. So that also is another angle that the Anambra State government pointed out. And then we had the representative from the Imo State that actually fall in line with what they all said, agreed, and he said, at what better time could we have had this, these summits, this vision? Now is the time. The future indeed is here.
Okay, now you're starting to sound like them.
So what was it the Ebonyi State, Francis Umefuru said, the Ebonyi State governor?
Yeah. Well, he didn't really make like a deep something that I could say this was what I got from him.
Okay.
But he talked about the states, the different strides, what they've achieved, and how we can take advantage of the vision.
All right.
Vision 2050 to bring out the state, the region from what it used to look like.
Okay.
The post-war effects, the infrastructural gap, and security issues. If we could work together and make the country, the region, a better place, it will bring investors and it will be another economic hub for Nigeria.
All right then.
So what about the other stakeholders that were present at this event? I mean, you mentioned Ohaneze Ndigbo, you mentioned some other people. What were their contributions to this summit or to this forum?
Yeah, the president of the Ohaneze Worldwide also made a statement. He talked about job creations. Yeah, that was very distinct. I could remember that vividly. He talked about job creations and security in the Southeast. Because we know when you talk about the Southeast, for those that don't live in the Southeast, I don't know about you. But coming from the West and some places, what comes to mind is insecurity. Just as when you think about the northern states, what comes to mind is insecurity. Because you've heard of stories of Boko Haram, bombing, one attack or the other. The only thing that plays in your head is those people, how are they living? How safe are they? People don't even think of going there, like relocation. It doesn't come to mind to relocate to the north in most thoughts, you understand? So he emphasized on that if there are job creations, it will manage the rate of crime, and also insecurity will also reduce, and then everybody will be at peace. And then, of course, development will also be seen in different regions as well. So that was like one of his key statements.
All right then. So looking at this particular summit, do you feel like this is the Igbo people, the Southeastern people coming together to, exalt themselves from the idea of being marginalized, trying to create their own world and evolve in it? Did you agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree with that, but rather put it this way. All right, in as much as the Igbos feel marginalized, looking at the infrastructural development in different regions of the country, it's a healthy competition to also stand out and do better and be seen better. And the belief that with this Southeast Vision 2050, the Southeast will be developed, the economy will boost, and then we'll have investors coming in to do business and just make things better for the Southeast. So it is a perfect blueprint at this time. What better time could we have had this very summit?
Beginning to sound like a governor.
He's beginning to sound like them. I mean, I said that earlier because he's so, the future is here.
The future is here,
what
right?
better time? I mean, I like that. But earlier on, you mentioned something about this type of gathering among Southeast governors happening in the past, but not really yielding that much results. But this one seems to be different, and it's still a concern for most people, because I mean, there is what are the chances of this Vision 2050 becoming another paper document, another place where we come and float these wonderful ideas, and it doesn't come to fruition? So during their speeches, from what you saw, were there any actionable steps that were also being spoken about as to how these things can come about, what the timeline is like, what are the people that are going to be involved, things that could create that kind of hope that, okay, these are the steps that would be taken to achieve all of this?
I love that question. All right, so the managing director, that's the CEO, the chairman also of the Southeast Development Commission, that's Mark Okoye, made a statement when he was also addressing the public, the audience, everyone. He said he told the vice president to give him 6-7 weeks maximum. He knows that everywhere will be choked up with activities and the pressure and everything, even if we take them to have sleepless nights, but he wouldn't mind 6 weeks to come up with policies, to put it in a document, you understand, that they can start work with. You know, unlike other commission that they put things together, they say they will do this and you almost not hear about it, like it dies and stuff. This one, you could see implementation already working out, you know, and it's not just going to be a one-sided thing. They involve all the governors. Once we have all the governors ascending, each governor have their policies for their state, right? And what the ideas they feel will work for the region. Just like, for example, we have the governor, Peter Mbah, saying that he wants a creation of a Southeast unified marketplace, right? Now, stuff like that will also be looked into in the policies, in the document. You have your vision, you come up with yours, you put it there. This other state comes with theirs. They work on everything. They go through it again. They'll send it back to the governors. They cross-check, dot their I's. You know, once everybody agreed and it's okay, all of these things will be done in the 6-7 weeks. Not just the governors, the stakeholders. We also talked, we had the first day, we talked about industry, manufacturing, and the key players and how they can change the sector-wise. We had different stakeholders in the gas sector, different sectors coming together to brainstorm on how to shift this region to a better place. So these key stakeholders will also have a say. They'll look at these documents and also check what should and what shouldn't be, the challenges, the possibilities, what and what not. Once all of these things are put together and everything is okay, they will now forward it to the vice president within that 6-7 weeks. Now from there, the steps will be followed through. So and also, if you look very well, the chairman of the commission, that's Mark Okoye, is known for being very, very dedicated and committed to work. He has served for different administrations. You get so. Before he was even called by the president to be in the federal level, he has served for different governors, different administrations, and he even served with the then Peter Obi, and even his predecessor and the successor. They never really had any public issue. He knows how to manage these things. So with his wisdom, it is believed that he's ready to really implement this and make sure this works out well. So definitely something we should be expecting something, let's say after 6-7 weeks time.
All right,
if you don't hear anything, call me back here.
You just mentioned Peter Obi. Peter Obi was present at this summit.
He wasn't present.
He wasn't present because I was really hoping that he'll be present there to hear from what he has to say to the people of South.
South is right. Let's believe that the president of the Ohanese ENUGU worldwide will cover the Southeast.
So, I mean, you were there, you saw everything that happened. What is your personal impression of what you saw there, the things that were said, the people you spoke to when you went there? What do you see? What is your impression of what happened there? What is your opinion, rather?
All right. First of all, I'm impressed that women are gradually picking up, in key positions and political activities. There were women there that came out. Even the UNNDP, there's a woman, one other lady in the diaspora, also a lady as well. Some women, even the regional, okay, let me not flop on that. One of the ministers too, a woman as well, was also the special assistant advisor to the president too. And that's Miriam Masha. She was also there. She also made a statement, regional development. Now, these are women taking, the forefront of these things, putting themselves out there and making sure that they're inclusive. So that impression alone was good for me. And I wish to see, my concern was in all of the governors, I didn't see a woman governor. I was hoping maybe
very soon.
Very soon. We need that. We don't just need women to be deputy governors, just like we have in River State, which is very okay. At least you start from somewhere, right? But we also need women that will be governors. So when we have the Southeast governors, a woman governor should also be there. So we also want to see something like that. And also, you could see people's commitment. People came in their numbers. Adults, youths, women and men. People came. and you could see everybody was smiling and laughing. And this wasn't a political party thing. It wasn't an APC thing. It wasn't a Labour Party, a PDP thing. It was a Southeast thing. People are tired of Southeast being marginalized. People are tired of the different challenges that the Southeast faced. And this is a glimpse of hope to the Southeast. So there's this joy, expectation, hope in the faces of the people.
All right. That's a good one, Christopher.
Of course it is. I mean, I at this point, I regret not being present at that summit.
No, I think at this point, Christopher has filled us in, so it's like we're there right now. Well, thank you so much for coming on Signature Morning and for giving us this insight. Let's meet in 6 to 7 weeks to get, I'm sure you will have details on that.
Christopher is so optimistic about this. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Of course, this is where we draw the curtains for Signature Morning ENUGU studio as we open up for the Abuja studios to take over from us. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Of course, we had lots of amazing conversations. It will be on our YouTube page, so you can always watch, comment, share, and like, and give us a follow as well on every other social media platform and on SLTV channel 265. I am Quinsley Rowland.
And I am Uchenna Chimdi Oloha, signing off to our Abuja studios. Have a nice day.
We are local.
Why the main market is in chaos. People are...
We are national.
Those in support of this motion as amended, say aye. Aye. We have taken the vote by default.
We are international.
Israeli airstrikes.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Hello and welcome to Abuja this rainy Tuesday morning in the Federal Capital Territory. My name is Mwabos Njoko and this is coming to you on a rather cool, breezy, rainy morning. What are we discussing this morning? The Nigerian police. There was a time on this program I said that the Nigerian police was an abused and a misused institution. Some people took exception to that. I did not withdraw that statement because I tried to use facts and situations to back that comment. But that's not the issue we're discussing this morning. The Nigerian police, as the front leader in Nigeria's internal security, are these empty words, or are we making them realistic, functional? Are we providing for the police to deliver on that as the front leader in internal security? Are we training them? By the way, are they in fact enough in number to execute and deliver on that mandate? Tomorrow, Wednesday, that issue may crop up at a different event. But this morning, I have in the studio those who know or who should know. Let me start from my left. I have Folari Aluko. Folari Aluko is the past chairman of NBA, Nigerian Bar Association, Abuja. They call them Unity Bar. Folari, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, sir.
Please, how united are you people in that bar? By the way, what do you serve in that bar? Champagne? Or only water?
We serve the rule of law, and as its name is called, the sobriquet, the Unity Bar. To some degree, we try to achieve unity. Unity is not a destination; it is a process, you know. And sometimes there's this saying: we agree to disagree, we meet to part, and we part to meet. So
that we meet today, we won't disagree.
Hopefully,
thank you very much. And on my right is Idris Bauer. Idris Bauer is a gentleman who is focused on police affairs. He is a police affairs, not just analyst, but also an enthusiast. Bauer, you're welcome to the program.
It's a pleasure to be here.
How do you feel being associated with the police, with the Nigeria police?
Well, police is a good profession. However, we have a lot of challenges facing the Nigerian police. And
we'll look at all those challenges this morning. So we're looking at the Nigerian police as the front leader in internal security. And let me just create a foreground. In this country, let me go to before 1966, January 15. If you entered a train from Port Harcourt, I was in eastern Nigeria, from Port Harcourt going to Kaduna. Along the line, you could see a policeman. No guns, no firearms, a baton. He enters, scrutinizes, not necessarily the railway police, but majorly the railway police. And if they saw somebody who had a kind of haircut and they suspected the person was a soldier, they would approach him and confirm that he's a soldier. If he is, they ask for his pass. If he had no pass, the next station, they'll arrest him, bring him down, and hand him to the appropriate military authorities. And that soldier did not raise a whimper, because he knew that that police officer was acting within the law. Again, around 1962, 61, 62, when there was the tea riot, and the Tafawa Balewa administration deployed the military, Nigerians were up in arms, protesting. How dare you deploy soldiers for what was essentially a civil disorder? And they took the Tafawa Balewa government to the cleaners. And then there used to be, or there still is, what then we called riot police, but it's now the police mobile unit. If civil disorder went beyond conventional policing, it was another arm of the police trained to operate within civil population that was drafted in. But after the 1966 coup, something happened. It appeared that there was a policy, a movement to underdevelop the Nigeria police force. Bringing us to this conversation this morning, are we just calling the Nigeria police the front leader in name? As an institution, Do they even realize now, having been so underdeveloped for so many years? Are we equipping them enough? Are we training them enough? I'm going to begin with Idris Power. Idris, you know why I lay that foreground? So that the younger ones who did not know, experience a police force that operated in Nigeria could understand why we're holding this conversation this morning. My question, therefore, is the Nigeria police, in real terms, the front leader of Nigeria's internal security?
Well, as it is now, we cannot say that the Nigerian police is the frontline leader, because if you look at the 36 states of the Federation, we have deployed military to almost all the states across the 36 states of the Federation. So if we are saying they are the front leader, that is not actually the truth. Part of the challenge, just like what you stated, the police over time had a lot of challenges when it comes to funding, which I think was deliberate by the military coming in to ensure that issues surrounding internal security were not properly handled. I'll just go very quickly to something that happened 2020. The Bureau for Public Service Reform did a research on funding of the Nigerian police. The research is online. The Bureau for Public Service Reform is a government-established institution. Part of that report was that the police stations were given as much as 50,000 naira per quarter to run a police station.
50,000 naira per quarter?
Per quarter to run a police station, to manage a police station. Fueling of cars, buying of stationaries, paying electricity bill, ensuring there's clean water and all of that within the police station. How do we expect the police to function when this is happening? I'll go back a little bit. I think sometimes in, I can't remember the year, there was a particular year the police had a budget of about 28 billion naira. How much was released? 8 billion. Where do you expect the police to get that additional 20 billion to manage the affairs or the policing of the citizens? So it's been one form of deprivation and another, particularly to the Nigerian police, and that has done a lot of damage to our system. So how do we say, in fact, in terms of budgeting of the Nigerian police, they do what we call envelope budget, which is a very big problem. Have we taken time out to say, for instance, let's take a state as an example. I'll use a state like Kaduna, for instance, or let me say ENUGU. Every police post should tell us how much they need to run that particular, post. Yeah. From post, you come down to divisional level. How much does the DPO need to effectively police that division? From the division, you come down to the area command. How much does the area commander need to oversee the affairs of the police within that space? And then you come to commissioner of police. By the time we have a budget that flow from down top, then we know how much exactly we need to fund a police station or a police in a state. Without that, we are just wasting our time. Truly, as we speak, the military, majority of their institutions, like the training schools, NDA and all of that, they have separate budget outside that of
the military
operations. The police colleges, do they have something like that? No. Why is it so? Visit any barracks in Nigeria today and tell me whether humans are actually living in those barracks. That's how appalling it is. For the way and manner the police even manages, it beats me. Because you can't build something on nothing and then expect it to stay. That's one palace we know as lawyers. So I think we need to do more for the Nigerian police. I don't want to let me start investigation, for instance. This part of, my colleague is here, is a lawyer. This is a part where you arrest before you investigate. And these are some practices that we shouldn't even allow at this 21st century. Once a matter is reported, police should be given the right equipment to do their investigation.
And the resources.
Arrest and then prosecute. But it's a different ballgame altogether. So there are a lot of challenges facing the Nigerian police.
I will come to some of them because many people experience them on daily basis and complain. Let me go to Fulani. Fulani, he's raised something that rankles. We in the media, we say, look, the police are irresponsible. They grab you, they detain you, and if you insist and make enough noise, they take you to court and they tell the judge, we are investigating. And we are investigating, they now have the legal basis to dump you in detention. And now he says, the procedure should in fact be suspicion, investigation, arrest, and prosecution. How did the police come to this? I want to ask you this question, drawing from the underfunding factor he has raised, please.
That's a fantastic question, and my very senior colleague, Mr. Bawa, is the police historian, in fact, the security historian, has laid a very solid foundation. You know, Nigeria is unfortunately a very interesting country, and as you rightly said, the process, we have this challenge because it is primarily a funding issue. Now, with investigations, in most cases, about 80 to 90% of crime or investigation is carried out at the scene of the crime. And most times, most of the evidence, if at all, is located at the scene of the crime. If you look at the provisions of the ACJA and the Police Act, they often require that when an incident is reported, that the police officer should be designated to go to the scene of the crime to conduct the investigation. But then there's a funding challenge. And so what tends to happen is that the police would invite, so if there's a petition, the police would invite the respondent, who then would either go willingly or unwillingly. And then, you know, once they're within custody, a lot of things tend to start happening. And so it triggers a series of events that should ordinarily not be so. So the first thing the police would do is, okay, now this person is invited, they want to ensure that the person comes when requested for, and so the person is arrested and then put on quote unquote administrative bail. And so it leads to a series of human rights infractions. I say that a lot of the time. In fact, Nigeria is maybe one of the few countries where you're invited by the police, you pay your way to attend to that interview, you pay your boarding, if you're flying or if you're going by road, you pay for accommodation. So a case happens in Lagos, you're invited to Abuja, you pay to be arrested and detained, and then, because that's essentially what happens, and then after being arrested and detained, you may have to now bear the cost of the investigation by also paying, you know, in so many ways. So I think everything comes down to a funding gap primarily. There's also a training component to that conversation, because what then happens is that what we find is that the police then are forced to rely primarily on statements, you know, because it is statements that you extract from people in the course of this investigation that then makes it to court. And of course, once there's a problem with that statement, of course, the whole case is likely to crumble. You know, so it's a very huge funding component and a training component as well, because in the 21st century, Ogabawa had mentioned that there are some things we shouldn't be discussing about in the 21st century. But a lot of crime, because we live in a digital economy, there are many ways to track and to investigate crime that do not necessarily involve inviting and arresting people before investigations. Because what that tends to do is that it then creates so many human rights problems that lead to distrust in the police, and then it creates a vicious cycle that doesn't help the police.
No, Fulani, I still want to stay with you. Well, first item we've identified underfunding of the police, but why do we underfund the police? It is an attitude. It is an establishment attitude. First, does the establishment realize the central role of police in internal security? Because if you do realize that central role, you prioritize it, you give it a value, and you give it a cost. So it is that attitude, that undervaluing of the function of the police by the establishment, not by Tinubu, not by a president, not even by the minister. The establishment that does budgets, weighs budgets, prioritizes funds, does not see the functionaries of the police as priority. It's a tangent. How are you lawyers? Because you feel it. At the end of the day, the shortage job is what you use to go to court.
Yes.
How do you react to it, and what are you doing about it?
I would say that's also a fantastic point, sir. The fault is historical in nature, and I think you did a very great job in laying that foundation. But what started with the military needing to undermine the role of the police as the frontline security actor when it comes to internal security issues, over the years led to, it first started as perhaps a means towards obtaining legitimacy by the military and legitimation. But we now see, or we start to see a series of institutional reforms that were touted as advancements or reforms, but were actually directed at whittling away the powers of the police. This may shift some perspectives, but the Federal Road Safety Corps, for example, is an essentially police branch of the police
traffic.
And then you have so many civil defense, for example. So why
EFCC is big branch?
Yes, EFCC was, when it was proposed as an investigative arm of the police. They will only do investigations, but now it has become something else entirely. So why do we create, or why does the establishment tend to create other institutions and fund them more than the primary institution that is responsible for internal security? So I think that there's a huge problem there, and the current Honorable Attorney General of the Federation, when I think about 2 or 3 weeks after he resumed office, made a statement to this effect, and he recognized that there were some institutions that needed to be merged and brought together, and that we had a proliferation of public institutions. That statement was lauded by many public affairs analysts. Unfortunately, till today, no step has been taken in that direction. So, the question is, what are the interests within the establishment that are not that do not want to have a strong police force? Because the truth of the matter is that the police force is the only force in any country that can actually handle internal issues. Of course, there's at a more extended level, there's that conversation about whether we should have state police versus federal police and so on. But I think at its core, it is only the police force that is trained and that at the moment has the public accountability mechanisms that can interface with the public. Now, with regards to how are lawyers handling situations, I think there's the public accountability conversation, or part of that conversation. And of course, as you rightly mentioned, whenever there's an infraction on human rights, there has to be some sort of recourse or remedy. One of the biggest challenges that we have had in the legal profession since the passing of Chief Gani Fawemi is that most times, and I was just having a conversation with someone recently, we frame our public interest litigation from an individual perspective, and this, I will say this to lawyers now. Many lawyers, when framing public interest not even public interest, when framing human rights infringement cases, we don't tend to look at the broad scope. And so when framing prayers, for example, prayers are framed, or the courts are asked to make findings in relation to specific cases, and not, for example, giving judgments, for example, that say that arrests before investigations are unlawful or illegal or prejudicial.
So there's nothing generic that can be used to apply to other situations.
Yes, so that's one major problem, and I think within the legal profession there's a lot of reform currently going on, because the situation cannot continue this way. I know, for example, that if I may speak just with by way of general knowledge now, for a long time, many lawyers would not challenge illegal arrests. So if someone has been arrested and detained, what we tend to focus on as lawyers is the illegal detention and not necessarily the illegal arrest. But there is more attention being focused now on illegal arrest. So an arrest that is based on on an agreement or a contract, for example, that is purely civil, you find lawyers challenging the arrest in court and the detention as separate incidents on their own.
But I've been calling Idris. I've been calling, because the name I got was Idris. Am I correct, or is it Ibrahim?
Idris.
Idris, I'm correct, my dear. But I want to come to you because the issue I raised with him was establishment attitude, which was the cause of the other things we discussed now. If we agree that the establishment attitude is wrong, if we agree that the establishment attitude does not place considerable premium on the police force and therefore underfunds it and under-prioritizes it, what do we do to begin to point to this failing and the danger of it?
First and foremost, I think the government has to be deliberate. Deliberate in the sense that we have to take the bull by the horn. I say it anytime, any day. If you want to secure Nigeria as it is today, fund and train the police officers, men and women, train them, and recruitment also. Again, there are a lot of things. When it comes to the issue of recruitment, let me digress a little bit.
Yes, please.
How is the recruitment done? Who has the power to recruit and all of that? It has been even a challenge among the actors, the Police Service Commission and the police itself. And this is something that is very clear. Who has the mandate? It's the Police Service Commission. Again, that's a story for another day, because even the Supreme Court has made a pronouncement on that. I talked about budgeting system earlier. We should understand that policing requires funding. There are some basic issues that we try to do over time. My colleague was speaking about investigation. I give you an example again. While working with international organization, we discovered that cases were lost and won based on lack of adequate or proper investigation
by the police.
Why was this so? Because they didn't have the requisite knowledge or even the equipment to carry out such investigation. What did we do? In FCT and in Lagos, we identified some crimes that we feel the police need some support. Once a case is reported to the police, we made, we call it SOP, that allows either the police within itself to get a lawyer or contact Ministry of Justice in FCT or in Lagos to be part of that team that will investigate the matter. And what does that do? The issue of actus reus, which is part of legal balance, yes, mens rea, the mental, all of this, the action. Once the lawyer is involved, they identify some of these things early enough, And the police, based on those investigations and things like that, they are well prepared and give, very good investigative report. Outside of that, the issue of forensic became a very tough one again. We discovered that a lot of investigation being done by the police were just manually done. Sometimes victims are coerced into giving false statement and all of that. Then we decided to focus on training the police officers and equipping some of these, for instance, in Alagbon and FCT, with equipment to carry out forensic investigation. All of these are things that ordinarily the police should do, the government should do, but we allow international organizations to come in and play this role. For me, that is not very good, because we are also exposing our system to these organizations. What do we do? How do we move forward?
Yes.
It's very important. Training is very key. As we speak, the Police Act 2020 has been passed. I'm not sure, if not for organizations like P1, some other organizations working within the police space have decided to train the police officers on the provisions of this act. I'll tell you very simple. Arrest protocol, even ACJA, which my colleague spoke about, ACJL, made provisions on how you do arrests. As we speak, 90% of
police officers
who are on the field don't have the requisite knowledge on how to do these arrests. At some point, we tried to do an SOP, a first order, but that first order didn't see the light of the day. That's a pack. The Police Act 2020 has been passed. What about the regulations? That is a supplementary,
part of that law.
Part of that law that ordinarily will ensure proper implementation of the provisions of the Police Act. It has not been gazetted. Upon what law?
Will those stand now?
Policing even implementing the 2020 Act.
We'll come to that as a core issue. We'll come to that as a very big core issue. Let me turn to Fulani. Fulani, I asked Bauer what we can do for the establishment to begin to realize the central role of the police in internal security. Unless there's a method of interfacing with the establishment to bring as we are talking now, many of them are at their offices and they may not even be following. Some of them are watching music on their others are busy discussing some other business opportunities, or maybe really doing other administrative job. So it requires a mechanism to interface with the establishment, and let those watching us understand what I mean by the establishment. There are agencies, there are offices, there are decision points within government. Is the office of the National Security Advisor watching this program, for instance? Is it of concern to that office? Is the office of the Minister of Police Affairs watching this program? Does it mean anything to them? Who is in charge of internal affairs? Are they watching this program? Because the outcome of the performance of the police reflects on whether they are delivering service or not. So, what mechanism can be adopted to get the establishment to be on the same page with what we're conversing on now?
So it's a whole lot.
Isn't it?
Yes, it is, because you would ordinarily expect that the initiative should come from the government, because I believe that security is everyone's business. It's not the exclusive preserve of just one institution. But if you look at Section 14 of the Constitution, you find, and several other provisions across the Constitution, Nigerian Constitution, you see that the government has a pivotal role and a primary role to ensure the security of the lives and property of Nigerians. And so, having said that, the pipeline should, or leadership should, come from government. So the fact that we're having this conversation already shows that there's a
challenge.
Someone has dropped the ball somewhere. But at the same time, also, we the people also have a responsibility, and that responsibility comes from the point of view of also having conversations like this and public accountability, and that is why it's important to engage with these stakeholders. Now, the national security infrastructure is one part of that establishment. We also have of course, the civil service as well, and then the legislature, because the legislature plays a very huge role in ensuring that, for example, if there are any laws that affect or impact on the police, that those laws, before they are passed, should be reviewed and vetted properly. So I would say that in terms of a mechanism that would draw the attention of these stakeholders, I think the first and the most important thing is to dialogue with them and to invite them. And I'm hoping that the NSA is watching this program, and if he's not watching live, his attention will be drawn to this program, after the fact. But this is an issue that should be of concern to all Nigerians, because security, we are only as strong as our weakest link. And I think the issue of security is everybody's problem. Mr. Bauer rightly talked about the provisions of the Police Act, which 2020, which of course introduces so many novel provisions, but it is not really about the issue of the laws. The question is, how are these laws implemented, and are the people who should implement them, do they even know that they have the responsibility to implement these provisions? So, I think it starts with a conversation, and in some cases, I referenced the late Chief Ganifawa.
Yes.
There is to some degree, room for public interests or strategic impact litigation as well, and I think that is something that should be taken up. Organizations like P1 have also taken an interesting step towards providing some sort of support towards, so for example, the right of access of people who are arrested before pre-trial detainees, the right of access to legal counsel, for example, which has been provided for under the Police Force Order 20, so that's a provision that it's a police force order, but you find civil society working to give life to that provision. So you find lawyers in different police stations in some parts of the country, but there is need to expand these efforts and to also expand the dialogue as well.
Idris, sometimes it's not good for the outsider to cry more than the bereaved. Yeah. Because if we are raising these issues as outsiders, does the police leadership realize that as a frontline security institution, there are certain things that should be given to whom much is expected? Are they aware of it? And let me use street lingo. They don't shake body. Are they making the demands? Are they bringing these issues to public conversation? Because unless if they don't anyway, it means we are just when you cry too much for the dead, they say you killed him.
Well, I think the leadership of the Nigerian police, they are doing their best, truly. Why am I saying so? There's much they can do about, crying out for some of these things and things like that, based on the fact that they are a government institution. If, for instance, let me say I'm a commissioner of police and I cry out, maybe come to the media to spill out some of these things and things like, the next thing, my job is...
Don't come to the media. Better go to your boss and let the media be there.
That is what I'm saying. Even bringing the media to my boss would be wahala. So for me, I think the hierarchy of the police, they are doing their best. It's just for us, like I said earlier, to be deliberate. What I mean deliberate, the government should take the bull by the horn and say, yes, we want to, seriously fund the police. I'm not taking away from the government. The government has done something for, again, the Police Trust Fund that was established. over time. What have we been able to achieve since the establishment of the Police Trust Fund? We are talking about policing, and sometimes the last administration, I was fortunate to be part of persons who developed the community policing framework, which was presented to the government, and very beautiful framework. What was that framework supposed to do? One, it's about intelligence gathering. It's about community engagement, because there's basically lack of trust between the citizens and the police. And this has given rise to the NSAS, for instance, the end bad governance, for instance. All of those things are because people don't trust the policing system. And we try to see, how do we ensure that there's that gap between the police and the citizen is breached. If you want to get intelligence, you have to work with the communities. So the community policing principle, I think how it is working now is a different ballgame. I think we need to visit that and see what exactly are we doing when it comes to investigation, when it comes to intelligence gathering, because these are some of the things that will aid us in securing the environment. That's one. My colleague spoke about accountability. We have some basic institutions that hold the police to account. The National Human Rights Commission holds the police to account. How much have we been doing with that is something that I will ask my colleague in the Human Rights Commission to answer. The Police Service Commission itself, they have a key role to play in ensuring police is held account. The Ministry of Police Affairs has a role to play. The National Assembly, both the Senate and House of Representatives, they have committees on police. It's not about oversight and all of that things, holding them to account so that even one kobo that is given to them, how are they spending this money? I sum it up this way. If you cannot count, you cannot account. We have to need to hold ourselves to account, not just the police, every structure of our society. We need to hold ourselves to account so that we be accountable to every Nigerian.
We hold ourselves to account so that we can also be accountable. We have to know the numbers, how much was given to us, for what purpose, how much was deployed for each activity. When we count the numbers, we can give an account. Well, I have two gentlemen in the studio, Idris Bauer, Police Affairs Analyst, and Folare Aluko, past chairman of MBA Abuja. They call themselves Unity Bar. We are discussing the Nigeria Police as a frontline security institution for internal security. How well are they doing? How well are we doing?
Another one is education. I mean, back in the days, it was like...
For them. Are we calling them frontline just in words? Are we providing? Are we helping them to deliver? That's the conversation this morning. We'll take a short break and return. Please stay with us. You are welcome back. Now, every activity of the police force takes place within the context of rule of law. They are not invaders. If you break the law anyhow, anywhere, they are supposed to use the law to determine what happens to you. I didn't tell you at the beginning of this conversation that my two guests are also members of the Rule of Law and Empowerment Initiative. Gentlemen, am I right?
Very correct.
Rule of Law and Empowerment Initiative. Now, the second part of this conversation is the law that guides the police to be able to implement the rule of law. I think I want to summarize it like that. And that is let me be sure of that, is the Nigeria Police Regulation, the new Nigeria Police Regulation. Now, I am not quite educated on the content and the purpose of that new regulation. And please let me come from the point of ignorance so that as I'm educated, my viewers will be educated. What is this new police regulation all about? I want to start from ENUGU. What is it all about? We have been discussing the police institution. Now there's another law that seems to be regulating them. What is all about?
So the police regulations are a subsidiary legislation made pursuant to the Police Act. And the objective of the regulations is to provide what Mr. Bawa referred to as some sort of SOP, standard operating procedure manual on how the police should function.
Please, I hope my viewers are following me to getting more educated, because they can go with the slangs and the abbreviations. Standard operating procedure for the police.
Yes.
How they ought to do what?
How they ought to do what they do. So it spells out because the Act can only create a general framework and overview. The purpose of the regulations is to spell out in very minute detail how the various functions and activities of the police should be carried out. At the moment, the current regulations that we have, I believe, are from 1964, 68?
Yeah, 68.
68. Which means that, and if you look at it, there are so many issues. Mr. Bauer was part of the team. I believe that
this is 18. Okay, but because I smiled when you mentioned 1968. That again was under the military.
Yes.
Charles Dickens, everybody who watches this program knows that I always post that phrase, that sentence from Charles Dickens, which says, "Ask no questions and be told no lies."
Yes.
Please go ahead.
So, you find that there are so many, the current regulations actually cannot work. It's not sufficient to address the issues that the police face today. I'll speak from a general point of view and speak to, for example, issues like the regulations break the police formation into units and divisions. Just from the jurisdictional outline alone, you still have references to the old states, the old northern region, and so
okay.
You cannot have a Police Act of 2020 and then now place that on top of that a police regulation of 1968. It controls things like there are so many provisions within the regulations that will be considered to be gender insensitive. Today there are provisions that exclude women, for example. There are provisions that even control how much a police officer should have on his or her person. Something in the I think about 10 naira or something to that effect, which is, I don't know if we would find 10 naira notes in circulation today. So there has been a need to review the regulations, and it has been reviewed. So the question now is, at what point or how will the regulations be brought into the mainstream? It is for the regulations to be operationalized, if you may. And I'm sure Mr. Bauer knows.
Bauer, I was going to ask him really why the need for this regulation when there's a law.
Okay, first and foremost.
Yes, please. But you also do me a favor by educating me on certain specific provisions of that.
That's where I'm going to.
Yes.
Actually, the Police Act 2020 establishes something that has to do with community policing. And community policing, the earlier regulation we had nothing to do with community policing. So how do we operationalize that particular provisions? That's one. Just like he mentioned, how many of us know Gongola State? I doubt how many young ones know where is Gongola State. We still had Gongola State in that old regulation. So again, we need to actually do more work. Outside that, issue of protecting human rights is well embedded within the 2020 Act.
The new Act.
Yes, that was not something we envisaged in the 1948 Act.
1968 Act.
No, 1948 Police. We had 1948
In other words, this is a colonial relic.
Exactly. The 1948 Act, yes, 1948, I'm correct. 1948 Act was actually something that was more coercive in nature. Now we have a 2020 Act that speaks about protecting human rights. Even issue around arrest protocol, which we spoke about earlier. All of these are well embedded within the 2020 Act. How do we operationalize some of these with the old regulation? It's a big challenge. So we need to have a regulation. Now we have a regulation. And that regulation broke down into the scope, actually, how to do with something around promotion of officers, appointment, promotion, and service, the year of service, which is within the ambit of the Police Service Commission. But who is in charge of ensuring this regulation is brought to life? The Ministry of Police Affairs. But what we did over time, we brought in, the Ministry of Police Affairs had a draft, brought in some experts who are working in this area, the police, the members of the National Human Rights Commission, Police Service Commission, all of us working together to ensure we have a very good, robust document that will speak to the provisions of the 2020 Act. We have a draft. That draft is ready, but it has not been gazetted by the government.
Is that draft before the government?
Yes, I can say yes, because the Ministry of Police Affairs have done well to send this draft to the Ministry of Justice, and the Ministry of Justice came up with some clarification that should be made, and we have worked on that with all the stakeholders, and now the thing is back to the police for them to make their own input. Then once that is finalized, it is sent for gazetting. And once we have a gazetted regulation, we are good to go. I say this because discipline of men, we call them, of officers and men of the police is well entrenched in this police regulation. Welfare of officers is well embedded within it. How do we ensure that this is done? Has to, issue surrounding the duties, even retirement and exit of officers are well entrenched in this regulation. I think I want to appeal to all the stakeholders who are working within this space, particularly those who are in charge of gazetting this regulation, to make haste so that we can, hit the ground running as far as securing our environment.
I still want to stay with you, Idris. To what extent will this document, this new regulation, enhance the operations of the police so that Nigerians can feel a police force, their police force, policing for them?
Okay, I want to let me marry the Police Act, the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, the Anti-Torture Act, all of these together to speak, generally about some of these issues. If you look at issue of investigation, we talked about.
Yes.
If a policeman wants to get information from a suspect, defendant, we call them now, the defendant might be tortured to extract information. The Anti-Torture Act has now made it a crime for you to torture somebody to extract information. And once that is established, the officer who was involved in that torture will be held to account and pay from his pocket any damages that may accrue. That is one component. The Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2020 and the ACJA at the state level also made it compulsory that when you are taking confessional statements of a defendant, it has to be recorded. Not just recorded, a person of his choice, either a lawyer, somebody from legal aid counsel, a relative who will not interfere in that investigation, should be present when that confession is taking place. And the Supreme Court has ruled that all of those conventions, all of those issues we are talking about must be corroborated before it becomes
unacceptable to be presented before a judge.
Yeah. So you can see the chain of all of this. If we take the police regulation seriously, some of these things I just highlighted are things that are taken care of. Come down to police welfare. We are talking about pension for police officers, the meager amount they are taking and all of that. This is something that will address pension of police officers. So for the police themselves, they stand an advantage to see this regulation being implemented. Issues surrounding their functions, their duties, even equipment, uniform are well entrenched within this regulation.
Okay. As we are at the beginning of this conversation, I had a little bit of a hunch, and I said, we're in Abuja, we're talking. Yes, it's all over the country, it's all over the world. From Lagos, people listen. But let us be frank. Can we take this conversation to these police stations in my village, to the police stations in the states and local governments? You discover that we are honestly conversing above their situation. This new police regulation that also takes account of the conduct of the policeman, as well as his remuneration and his comfort and his welfare, as well as the procedure for doing his job, they seem to be Abuja-centric and Lagos-centric. The lawyers who will raise issues when there's an infraction, they operate from Lagos and Abuja. Those of them in Karanamoda, those of them in Mbise, in Imo, those of them in Ede, in Osun State. We're talking Bankom, Balderdash, because they seem to have established themselves in a particular method.
So I think that the police actually use the regulation is their primary operational documents, because it is what guides the day-to-day operations of the police, and which is one of the reasons why the use of the old regulations cannot really sit on top of
the new,
because it, just as you had rightly said, the old Police Act of 1948 was essentially a colonial document. The regulations of 1968 is not so far from, it reflects, an old philosophy towards criminology and criminal law, and it also reflects perhaps the intentions of the military, with regards to the attitudes of the military towards the civil population. So it is important to have a synergy between the current laws and, Mr. Bauer mentioned the Anti-Torture Act, the ACJA and the ACJL of the various states, that's the Administration of Criminal Justice Law, and the Police Act itself, which is the primary law. Many police officers, interestingly, might not have read or might not have even seen copies
or even heard.
I've been talking of the Act itself.
I know.
But they are guided by the regulations primarily
in their day-to-day
operations. So it is important. Once the regulations come into force, it has a way of reaching that police station,
the grassroots
in Idemili, in Ede, and in various parts of Nigeria through the grassroots police.
Falana, Aluko, sorry, let me take it from you. And this is my last question, if you don't mind. I asked him that question because in my mind, I thought that there should be a mechanism, a training mechanism. Beyond getting this gazetted, you can gazette it when the West wants to insult us. They say if you want to hide anything from a black man, put it in a book. That's an insult. After this has been gazetted, it shouldn't there be a mechanism to train the police officer at the lowest level to be able to operate within these provisions?
Okay, thank you very much. I think I want to start from the National Assembly. The National Assembly should make effort once they are making laws to put in mechanism that will implement the provisions of such laws. That has been a very big challenge over time. We only had one that is very effective. The Administration of Criminal Justice Act and Criminal Justice Law, within it, created a committee to implement the provisions of the law.
Okay.
And that is so beautiful.
It's working out.
Yes, it's working. And I think we should imbibe this culture in almost all the laws that we are, working on. That's one component. The other part is we have some organizations who are working within this police space. P1, for instance, P1 is doing massively well. We can't take that away from P1. The Police Act, P1 has made a simplified version of that act, even with infographics, that people distribute at various police stations, so that the police can first and foremost be aware of the provisions of this law. That again is something that I think we are looking at with the regulation. Once it is gazetted, we have clean copies of it. We do some abbreviated version of it, and then create infographics that will speak about some of the provisions of the regulations.
Oh, I just have to apologize. My producer says you've shot beyond 1 hour. It is a crime in broadcasting, and he doesn't want me to be a criminal. And all I need to add at this point is that the Rule of Law and Empowerment Initiative, where my friends this morning came from, they are having to escalate this matter tomorrow, Wednesday, when they call stakeholders together to look at this gazetting of this revised police regulation and how it can be effectively implemented, how can the Police Act can be effectively implemented. I think we'll try to be there tomorrow to learn more when there are more people speaking about it and more contributions that can be better educated. For this morning, that's our program for this Tuesday morning. The police, Nigeria Police, as a frontline security institution, how well are we packaging them, preparing them, provisioning for them? Or are we leading them into temptation, asking them to go without equipping them, without providing for them, without giving them the right rules, in fact? In other words, to be there doing their thing the way they can best do within the circumstance. Well, my guest said there's much more to be done for the police to deliver on its mandate. This conversation will continue at a different forum tomorrow. For this morning, I want to thank you for investing your time with us. My name is Nwabueze Njoku. Let me, at this point, thank Idris Bauer, Police Affairs Analyst. Idris, thank you very much for coming.
It's a pleasure.
And Folani Aluko, Past Chairman, Nigerian Bar Association, Abuja Unity Bar. Please, when are you going to come to the bar? He will come to the bar. Don't mind. I will hold him Unity and United Bar. For this morning, please invest the rest of your day wisely. Good morning.
The media, from movies to music, from television to social media, shapes the way we see the world and the way the world sees us. But when it comes to women, what kind of image is the media really creating? This is Gender Perspectives, where we explore the issues, the stories and experiences that define gender in our society. I am Uchenna Chimdi Oluoha, and today we take a closer look at the image of women in the media. how far we've come, and what still needs to change, and why representation matters. But let's go on a break. Stay tuned.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
To understand the image of women in the media today, it helps us to look at how this portrayal has evolved over time. Historically, women were often limited to stereotypical roles both in Nigeria and across the globe. But times are changing. Today, Nigerian women are taking center stage, not just as characters on screen, but as creators, directors, musicians, journalists, and influencers shaping their own stories. Now, in the next segment, we take an in-depth look at the image of women in the media, exploring both the progress that has been made and the challenges that remain. Here is the background report.
The media plays an undeniable role in shaping how societies think, speak, and behave. It reflects collective values, influences attitudes, and sets the tone for cultural development. Among its most powerful influences is its portrayal of women, their roles, capabilities, and place in society. The image of women in the media determines not only how the public perceives women but also how women see themselves and what they believe they can become. Across movies, music, advertising, journalism, comedy, and social media, women's representation remains a subject of deep concern, debate, and transformation. In both global and Nigerian contexts, media portrayals of women have often been a mirror of societal gender norms, at times reinforcing them, and at other times challenging them. The journey from invisibility and objectification to empowerment and self-definition has been long and complex. While there have been remarkable improvements in recent decades, women in the media are still often caught between progress and prejudice. Historically, women's presence in the media was marginal and controlled by patriarchal structures. In the early days of film, literature, and advertising, women were largely portrayed as domestic caretakers, romantic interests, or symbols of beauty. Hollywood and global advertising campaigns of the 20th century created and commercialized the image of the perfect woman, beautiful, obedient, emotional, and dependent. In Nigeria, early media reflected similar patterns. During the 1970s and 1980s, radio dramas and television series featured women primarily in nurturing or subservient roles. Nollywood's emergence in the 1990s expanded storytelling but often recycled patriarchal narratives, women as wicked stepmothers, desperate wives, mistresses, or victims of circumstance. These portrayals, though reflective of social realities at the time, limited the scope of what women could represent on screen. As media evolved and feminist consciousness grew, Nigerian women began asserting themselves as creators rather than merely subjects of stories. The past 2 decades have witnessed a notable transformation in women's visibility and voice across different media sectors. Nollywood, Africa's largest film industry, has become a space where women are increasingly redefining themselves. Female filmmakers have introduced strong, independent, and multifaceted female characters. Through these stories, women are no longer confined to the background, they are leaders, thinkers, and changemakers who challenge cultural expectations. The Nigerian music industry has also witnessed a revolution in female representation. Artists embody a new generation of confident, outspoken, and talented women. Their lyrics often celebrate independence, self-love, and empowerment. Women in music now represent power, creativity, and self-expression, though they still face challenges in an industry historically controlled by men. The face of Nigerian journalism has changed significantly. Prominent women have become respected voices in news, analysis, and entertainment. They challenge stereotypes by showing women as intellectuals and thought leaders in spaces once dominated by men. Moreover, Female journalists and talk show hosts use their platforms to advocate for gender equality, civic responsibility, and social justice, reshaping public discourse. Social media has democratized storytelling. Nigerian women now use digital platforms to own their narratives, promote businesses, and engage in activism. Influencers and the members of the Feminist Coalition use their platforms to discuss self-development, politics, mental health, and gender justice. Online campaigns have given Nigerian women a voice in national and global conversations, proving that digital media can be a powerful tool for social transformation. Despite these advances, women in the media continue to be portrayed in ways that reinforce harmful stereotypes. Many Nigerian films and television shows still depict women as emotional, jealous, or dependent on men for validation. Female ambition is sometimes framed as arrogance or moral compromise, while success is often linked to relationships or beauty. Such portrayals limit the diversity of women's experiences and normalize gender inequality. Across music videos, comedy skits, and advertising, women's bodies are often commodified to attract attention. Female artists are expected to appear glamorous or revealing to be marketable, while male artists are rarely held to the same standard. This double standard reinforces the idea that a woman's primary value lies in her appearance. Media-driven ideals of light skin, slim bodies, and expensive fashion have created a culture of comparison and self-doubt among young Nigerian women. The rise of cosmetic bleaching, digital filters, and slay queen culture on social media reflects a deep internalization of these standards. While more women are appearing on screen, men still dominate positions of creative control, directors, cinematographers, producers, and editors. As a result, stories about women are often told from a male perspective, perpetuating the male gaze. Behind the glamour, many women in the Nigerian media industry face sexual harassment, gender discrimination, and unequal pay. These systemic barriers discourage many from advancing or staying in the field. The way women are portrayed in the media has far-reaching implications. Media content shapes social attitudes toward gender roles, marriage, leadership, and sexuality. When women are depicted as submissive or dependent, it normalizes inequality. Conversely, when women are shown as capable leaders or innovators, it promotes respect and equality. Conversely, when women are shown as capable leaders or innovators, it promotes respect and equality. The media directly influences how women and girls perceive themselves. Positive representation can inspire confidence and ambition, while objectifying or limiting portrayals can harm self-esteem and hinder aspirations. Representation matters because visibility translates into possibility. If she can see it, she can be it. Empowered women in media help drive broader social progress. Representation that reflects diversity and competence encourages women's participation in politics, business, and education, sectors essential to national development. To improve the image of women in the media, several strategic actions are necessary. More women should occupy leadership roles in media organizations, film production, and advertising agencies. Writers and directors must move beyond stereotypes and portray women as complex, capable individuals. Audiences should be educated to recognize and challenge harmful portrayals. Government agencies like NBC should enforce ethical standards against sexist or degrading content, provide mentorship, legal protection, and equal opportunities for women in media industries, and highlight and reward women who use media to drive social change and empowerment. The image of women in the media is not merely a reflection of entertainment trends, it is a powerful social indicator of how a society values its women. In Nigeria, the journey toward fair and empowering representation has been long and uneven. There is visible progress. Women are more visible, vocal, and creative than ever before. Yet, persistent stereotypes, objectification, and inequality continue to distort their image. True progress will come when women are not portrayed as accessories to men's stories but as authors of their own. A responsible media must show women not just as mothers, wives, or beauties but as thinkers, leaders, inventors, and citizens, diverse in background and equal in worth. Ultimately, the transformation of women's image in the media is part of a larger struggle for equality and justice. When the media chooses to represent women truthfully and respectfully, it does more than entertain, it educates, inspires, and empowers a generation. In redefining how women are seen, the media can help redefine what society believes they can be.
The way we see the world shapes the way we change it. Gender isn't just a checkbox, it's a lens, one that helps us understand the world more deeply and act more fairly. Gender Perspectives, a program for those ready to see more, do more, and be more. Designed to challenge assumptions, ignite conversations, and build inclusive solutions across every sector of society.
We are not, fighting the men. We are not saying we are equal in terms of rights. We're only asking they should recognize our existence.
Join us on Gender Perspectives, showing every Saturday by 4 p.m. Repeat every Wednesdays by 5 p.m. and Thursdays by 3 p.m. Change begins with perspective. Let's widen yours.
To help us unpack these issues further, we have a special guest with us today, someone who understands the portrayal of women in the media, particularly in Nigeria. Joining us is Ndidi Duru. She is the founder, Talk to Solve awareness group that deals on family-related issues, youth-related issues, and also media representation. You're very much welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
How would you describe the current representation of women in media, generally and also in Nigeria?
I would say it is evolving. It has come a long way. It was not always, it's not perfect, okay, but at some point it was that bad. And it depends on the angle we want to look at it from. If we want to look at entertainment, if we want to look at media, if we want to look at everything surrounding the whether print, radio, TV, and all that. Here's what I have to say. The society we live in is also evolving. So a lot of things I'm going to be talking about, you have to give us grace. You have to understand where we're coming from. The patriarchal society we live in is such a strong one, such that for women's voices to be heard, we had fought and we are still fighting. So in the media it's not different. It's just the same thing as what we have in the society, where women are subservient, women are objectified, where women are, so it's like that. Okay, when you have women in the media space, let's even look at entertainment. The average music video you see, the advert you see, everything about entertainment, really. When a woman is portrayed, the woman is seen as subservient to the man. She's a homemaker. You know those stereotypes, the dependent, the victim of violence, women and children. Nobody even sees us for who we are. In storytelling, the same thing. We haven't started taking charge. But like I said, it's evolving, because these days I see our storytelling. Women are now telling their stories. Women are now celebrating their feats, whether in the banking sector or otherwise. And this is because of the media. Remember I said it is evolving, but largely we still have a long way to go.
Right, so let's take it one by one, because you mentioned that, it depends on the angle that we're looking at it. So let's start from our movies.
Yes.
Nollywood.
Yes.
Looking at how, women have been portrayed over the years. I mean, since, we started off as an industry in Nigeria. How would you, assess women's representation so far up till now?
Okay, so initially I would say that we are telling the story accurately. Okay, if you saw the movie Things Fall Apart, it was a reflection of our culture. Okay, but over time, I think in a bid to sell, they were doing too much. It was exaggerated. You know, you're showing us a movie and you're generalizing stereotypical narrative. Every woman is a homemaker. No, that's not true. They are big business women. They are women in high decision making bodies, and there are women who are academic giants. No, you don't see those people. You want to show us women who celebrate their body parts. Objectification. Every time you want to show us, we are to impress the men. You know, it's so bad that sometimes every woman is expected to be seen in a particular way. There's a time the trend was, oh, you had to be skinny, tiny waist, big, you know, that kind of thing. No, we don't all have to look alike. There are short men and they are cool. There are fat men and they are cool. There are muscular men and they are cool. Why do you have to get to women and all of us have to look alike? And again, I don't just blame the society. I also blame the women, because you have a right to, which is already happening. You have a right to say, no, you don't see me in that regard. No, I don't have to look like this person. Do you remember that at a time everybody was looking like Kim Kardashian?
Of course.
Everybody at a time. And then I still remember that when I was younger, it was Abani Darigo. I don't know if you know. Oh, if you're slim, oh, you're hot already. So it just keeps changing, and it's not the same for men. Sometimes a woman is not even appreciated for her competence. Sometimes you're seeing someone, oh, you're seeing Natasha, but oh, she is so beautiful. Hey, skin color. Excuse me, this woman has a voice. She's changing the system. She just doesn't want to keep quiet like every other person. I may not agree with her, and I may also agree with her, but see her for who she is, and not, oh, she's so fair, she's so, I see fine girl, they do rubbish, you know, that kind of thing. So that's the kind of things we see in the media. And you ask the question, what does the media is not helping the women folk. Have you seen that in most movies they make the women so helpless and dependent? Every story has to be, oh, she's being exploited, and then they are playing the
you're getting the soundtrack, so
yeah, they are dealing with a widow. Excuse me, they are widows you don't mess with because of who they are, the name they've made for themselves. So it's not as bad as the media. Sometimes the media gives a wrong impression of women. In fact, most of the biases we have, I think they augment this bias, they exaggerate this bias by the things you show in your media. Okay, and then what about, did you ask me about music?
I'm coming to that before we talk about music.
Yeah,
I want to ask you, you made mention of, you know, the movies about the widow being maltreated and all that, but would you also say that what they are showing is also a portrayal of what is actually happening, you know, in like
my problem is that it is exaggerated. Some of those things should not even be brought up anymore. I see a lot of movies, oh, my prince, my queen, you cannot go to the farm today. If you go to, what are you talking about? Do you realize that in some villages it is no longer a village, it is now a town? If you want to make movies, why don't you make movies of today's women being providers? Because that is what it is. Go outside. In fact, the other time I was talking with a friend, and the friend, a man, he said, have you noticed that every loitering in streets, it's usually men, young boys that you see? That the girls you see, they're either doing POS, selling recharge cards, frying akara, doing hair salon or something. But that the guys will just be hanging out, they stroll from beginning of the street to the end. Do you understand? So they have not started seeing women as providers. They've not started seeing women as the real hustlers. This narrative has changed. If you look at most families today, the breadwinners are beginning to be women. I'm telling you. When you see movies, and Maya, are you going out? You did not give us money. No, it's not fair. No, it's not fair. God is watching. No, it's not true. And I'm not saying there are not people like that, but you need to portray the society for what it is right now, women are wiser.
Right. So now let's look at music, just like you wanted to talk. How would you say that women are being portrayed in our music videos and just in the music scene generally?
So the music videos now are so annoying. Like, it's so annoying. You want to sing a song, I don't know if I'm permitted to mention it on TV. You know, you're singing about a woman's derriere, her boobs, and it's crazy. You're telling us that without money a woman cannot fall in love with you and all that. And the truth about it is that most people who do this are the real people who influence the society. So a girl watching it is like, oh, okay, so this is how I should look. I should actually look, like they say, sexy. And the definition of sexy is looking nude. Okay? Oh, I don't really need to be that intelligent. I mean, when you go to your social media platform and you see the people we celebrate, you will cry for Africa. So in the music industry, it's like that. The guy is well dressed, he has shirts, he has good haircut, he's looking good, and the girl is almost nude. The guy is showing his dance steps, showing his skills, his voice. The lady is shaking her behind, shaking her boobs, you know, and presenting herself as an object of pleasure to the guy. I don't think that is how it should be. These things are effects of globalization. I mean, they tell you that without sexualizing women, your videos will not sell. Says who? Says who? We have stopped celebrating real talent for laziness, because the easiest thing to do is to sing rubbish and bring a naked woman and you're making it. But the real talent is sitting down to think of a song that would, you know, connect with people's emotions, whether it's romance, whether it's love, whether it's politics, whatever it is. So in the music industry, it's really embarrassing. In fact, it's so bad that for the average rap artist right now, look at the rap artists we know. I'm not even going to Nigeria, whether you call it American rap, Cardi B, what's the other one's name again? Something Red.
Sexy Red.
Sexy Red.
Yeah.
You have to be street, you have to be crazy, you have to be irresponsible. And it doesn't have to be like that. And those are the people that music producers project. Those are the people. I'm telling you, someone like you, if you come out now, I'm a rap artist, and they will look at you like, okay, girl, you're too cool to be a rap artist.
Yeah.
I like you to be ras, like tear them clothes a little bit, tattoo your body, go nude, and you might have to go under the knife, enlarge your hips, your boobs, and your skin color, too black for the TV. You understand? And at the end of the day, every other child that wants to rap tomorrow looks at herself and, okay, I have to go get some enhancement. And that's not true. And then you look at our music today, that it has started reflecting in our quality of music. You can't sing today without looking crazy. So it's that bad. And then what kind of songs do we churn out?
Because I was about to ask you as well, you know, the songs.
The lyrics.
Yeah, the lyrics.
You hear it, you know, it's so bad that you can't even play it in front of your parents, assuming you still have responsible parents. Because I tell you, the quality of parents we have today, may the Lord have mercy on us. Assuming you still have parents, you can't listen to them. If you have children, there are songs they want to play. It's even so bad that the songs radio stations play, sometimes I reduce it. I want to no, because I'm with my child. And can you even, like, it's so bad right now. Who would you say, oh, I can play his song, it's a family song, my children are safe? The first one could be nice. What about the second one?
So would you say that the quality of our music and the way, you know, women are represented have deteriorated over the years compared to the music we used to listen to back then? And
of course.
That were, you know.
Of course. I mean, look at the Onya Ekowenis. Look at, what's her name again? Oh my God, I'm trying to remember her name. I will still remember. All those ones represented us very well. Okay, I'm not against looking attractive. Okay, but you can still look decent while looking attractive. Okay, there's a time, what's her name? Sade was the trend in the 80s or all that. She was very attractive and she is still attractive. She didn't need to go nude. I'm sure if Sade was to perform today, she has to go nude. I'm sure. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that the value is dropping by the day. It's dropping. I do know that somehow some group of people have started creating awareness on that, you know, that a woman can be in a music video, I beg your pardon, without actually looking crazy. The lyrics does not have to demean women, portray us as money lovers, portray us as sex objects, portray us as people without, you know, quality, character and all that, you know. So I think there is a drop. It gets worse all the time. In fact, it's so bad that I think from last 2 years they started promoting women on the pole. They started making it look like it's a normal thing. When they climb the pole, they spread their legs, they turn it up. For God's sake, what is this?
That leads me to ask about social media generally and the kind of content, because now apart from music videos, movies, traditional media, we have skit makers, people that do comedy of all forms, and just different kind of content on the internet. So how do you see them as well and the role that they play in all of this?
So the proliferation of contents on internet is actually disturbing. In our society where a lot is not checked, and I'm being meticulous with this because I don't want the politicians to think that I support them in stifling expression and content. No, but I think our contents should be checked for our children's sake, for young people's sake. I mean, I've seen influencers say stuff like sex sells, therefore allow us to objectify women. I've seen a content creator say that women are how did she even put it? That they are a piece of artwork and that they are made for pleasure of men. These are stars. These are influencers. They have followers. 400,000, 1 million and all that. Guess what? A significant number of those people believe you hook, line and sinker. Do you know the danger of that? Imagine a girl who is fresh out of school and you're telling her that she's a sex object, that everything she has to do has to be for the pleasure of men. What have you told that child? You know what you've told the child is, excuse me, I need you to lose your identity and pick up that which the society has forced on you. This could just be a child who does not even do that kind of thing, has an idea and a mind of her own. And then you're telling her this kind of thing at that stage. So the social media is not helping at all. It's not helping. If you go to social media, you see the way they bully people with good ideas. If you think I'm joking, say something reasonable, they will come for you. They will come for you. They want to give you ideas. I mean, they manipulate everything, turn it upside down. And they have, for what people don't understand is that the people selling this idea, they have an agenda. It is sponsored. It is paid for. So for you who is going there, understand very well that most of these ideas are sponsored. It's important that somebody all of a sudden stops seeing herself as a girl. All this while you were seeing yourself as a girl, and just because the trend, okay, and it's not even for the real reason, it's now trendy. Oh, I think I'm in a man's body, and oh, you open your mouth and say your own. Since when did you start knowing you were in a man's body? And you see them. I mean, the other time one of them was saying, I'm doing my, what did she even say, divorce party. And she said it's going to happen by 6 and all that. And people were celebrating. I celebrate your bravery. Thank you for saving the... Listen, divorce is still bad. We do know that in rare cases, we encourage that. Okay? We encourage that if it becomes life terminating, or if it becomes whatever extreme. But remember, we still teach perseverance. We still teach tolerance. We still teach forgiveness. And they're telling you no, that we are in generation, no tolerance for rubbish. No, I beg your pardon. How would you relate with people and not be tolerant? Do you want to keep burning bridges? So social media has not really helped us. It has also confused a lot of people because you don't even know who you are again. You want to be liked. Everything you're posting, you're not posting it because it is your conviction. You're not posting it because this is your idea. This is what you are posting, because you want likes. And by likes, to some people it is money. To some people it is visibility. Nobody wants to be original anymore. Everybody wants to join the bandwagon. And you know the annoying thing? Most people who project this on social media, meet them outside. They are not who they tell you they are. So for instance, they come to social media, what are you saying? If we have to sleep with a man to make money, let us sleep with the man. It is our body, it's our right. If you meet that person outside, I tell you, you will be surprised. The person is not even close to what she portrays. And then someone is watching. See, she said it. She said it. I will do it. It's my body, it's my right. My body, my right. Don't tell me anything. I saw so person on social media and she said it. Look at how successful she is. She has built this one. He has built the other one. You don't even know what is happening behind the scene. Who told you that all that money is coming from social media? Some of these people are used for what do you call it? Money laundering. Some of them do dirty deals, and some have good businesses, by the way. So sometimes social media can be misleading. Yes, it builds community. Yes, it's also educating. I know that in social media, it has also helped to give women a voice. I do know that some of the women that are being abused in their different marriages, that probably the world wouldn't have heard about it, now we hear about it. I'm sure you've heard about the latest, a big politician who is married to a certain girl and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And now people are speaking up for her. So social media is not that bad, but I tell you, on a scale of 1 to 10, honestly, we have to do something. 7, like it needs to be worked
so
on.
high.
Yeah, it's so high.
What about comedy and reality TV show in Nigeria?
It's not so different, because even in the comedy, whenever you hear that's about men, it's always hard workers. Okay, they tell you that men have seen something. Women don't finish men, you know. They want to crack a joke about a woman. It's always, you have finished a man's money. It's never really for who we are. I think it's just a few of them that give us credit. Maybe, okay, Bakassi, and I'm not marketing you if you're watching me. Okay, so those are the few of them that give credit. But most times what makes people laugh, apart from the real talent in comedy industry, most of them sexualize their jokes. When you want to talk about a woman, as I enter, come see Bakassi, and then everybody will start laughing. I'm like, excuse me, there are many things to joke about. You can joke about your conversation, everyday conversation in the office, everyday conversation in the there are many things to talk about. Yeah, so in comedy, and even the representation of women in comedy, how many are they? Who gives them that opportunity? You know, I'm also an event compare, and I want to share my experience. So, you know, as an event compare, you're always looking for opportunities. And I told my friend, I don't know why my business is so slow. I need to hit it big. She said, you need to keep reaching out to people that matter. You need to reach out to MCs that have been in the business and all that. And she said, I'm going to link you up with one guy. The guy is so good. He gets most of the government jobs and big businesses and all that. Okay. So she took me to the guy, and when I met him, we exchanged greetings, asked me about myself and all that. And I said, please, I'd like to for you to give me connections so I can get jobs and all that. And he said, oh, okay, I think you speak well. I think you're good looking as well. Are you married? I said, yes. He said, I don't like to work with married women. I said, why? He said, because I have my plans.
Wow.
Yeah. I said, do you realize you are saying this to me? He said, oh, I'm sorry, but that's the fact. I said, I would pardon you for your honesty. I would pardon you. By our next meeting, we will discuss about this further. You know why I stopped there? Because I would want to meet him again. It was in an event that so when I got home, I thought about this. And I said, this is the fate of so many women. I recall I walked with a guy, and when I was introduced to the guy, he said, am I going to be doing this MC with a woman? And the owner of the event said yes. Ah, okay. You look too English, oh. That wasn't what he meant. It was a way of telling me, really? We still have men like that.
And do you think that translates to other forms of media, like women's representation, both in movie scenes, like behind the scenes?
Oh, I just talked about it.
Music as well.
I just talked about it. Women representation thins out the higher we go. It thins out. At the lowest level, oh, women are there. At the decision making level, how many are we? Even in media representation, do you know that it is very comfortable for your producer to give you family related things to talk about? You know what, Chichi, you're going to handle everything about family and culture. Yeah, I think you do well. You're a woman. Obina, you will handle politics. It is a more technical thing. You will handle politics. Charles, you will handle economy. That's where the real discussion is. Are you seeing what is happening there? You check for yourself. How many female media analysts do we have in political analysis? What's her name? Is it Kadaria? What's the other one's name? I mean, I used to have all their names. I don't know what's wrong with me now. They are not more than 6. There's one with channels, and I hope I'm not marketing all these people. You know, there are just a few of them. I can tell you that if you decide to do that now, I don't know who your producer is. Your producer could say, yeah, it's a good idea, but stay with family. You just stay with family. And let's even look at the selection method. The uglier you are, in quotes, the less attractive you are, the unlikely you are to appear on the TV. When you're about to be, I mean, nobody looks at, most times they hardly look at competence. The first thing, because it's a stereotype. For a woman to appear on TV, she has to be looking attractive. Probably slim, tall. Did you not notice that all of a sudden we start having lots of models, former models, on the media space? Some of them good, I won't lie. Some of them know their onions. But I tell you that majority of them are brought to hold, you know, attention of viewers. Not because they have a lot to contribute. I don't know how to break this so that you understand. I wish I could give instances and not shake the table. Look at our TV stations. I know what I'm saying.
Please don't shake the table.
Yeah, look at our TV stations. You are picking a man. You don't care if he's handsome, if he's a former model. You don't care. You are picking a man on expertise, on competence. He sits down. He's analyzing football. He could be the ugliest man in the block. Nobody gives a damn. But if I have to do it as a woman, oh, I have to look beautiful. Look at you. Slim, tall, dark, and all that. Imagine if you were short with them scattered teeth and all that and brilliant. Nobody will give you this table. Because for women, the yardstick is different. Let's also look at the executive positions. Because you see, if there were many women in executive positions, we would take decisions that will favor us. I told you the higher you go, the slimmer it is for women. Oh, you know, she may not be able to come out in the night. If she's posted to Abuja, can she go? I don't think so. And they're not lying. You know, when a man saw me in one of the works I went to do, he said he and I were having a meaningful engagement until I said I'm going to be the MC of the occasion. He said, okay, an evening occasion. I said, yes, an evening occasion. And you're married? Of course I am married. And he let you? Hello? Of course he let me. Why would he let a woman do this job?
Is that what he said?
Oh yeah. Do you not know that other men will see you? I said, sir, I am here with you and I am seeing you. So you're in trouble. You shouldn't be here. Because when you come here, I'm also seeing you. He said, no, I am a man. I said, what's the difference? You can't fall to temptation. And he was quiet. So you see, we have started limiting ourselves. We limit women a lot. I don't know how you grew up. When I was growing up, the scold for me was different from my brother. I'm washing a plate, the plate falls down and breaks. Can I speak Igbo?
Of course.
Everything about my life was preparing me for marriage. And then my brother breaks it. Now you have to be meticulous. Be guided. Are you seeing the different? Yeah. So from childhood, you have started telling the girl that all you are going into, everything about his marriage. Are you not surprised that at 26, 25, if you're not married, you feel like you have failed in life? As if you have control over marriage.
But now, apart from these negative aspects,
yes,
would you say that there is anything positive?
A lot.
So let's highlight that as well.
A lot. So right now, like I said, it is evolving. These days, I see a lot of women doing analysis, sports analysis. I watch DSTV. I'm seeing women. I'm like, wow, that's good. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of movies celebrating our women. I saw a movie on Queen Amina of Zaria. I said, that's it. That's what you should talk about. And I'm looking forward to one day when there will be movies about people like Akunyili. I heard there's a movie about this COVID woman. What's her name again? The one that sacrificed herself. Yeah. You know, those are the things we want to hear about. A lot is actually changing. Because of social media, we now have a voice. I can say justice for Ochanya. I couldn't do it before without social media. Now we have a lot of female critics, emboldened. I see a lot of them on social media. They challenge government, shake government. You lock them up today, they come out tomorrow and they are speaking up. That is a voice. So the media has also been helpful to women. In fact, the media has started changing narratives because they are involved. They are the storytellers. They are the ones that navigate how these stories go. There's no day I see some TV channels, I don't know if I call them now, marketing them, and I look at them, I'm like, thank you. You're representing women very well. I mean, they look so attractive, but at the same time, they are discussing real matters. Real matters. And I see some in the music industry, they are not necessarily going nude. And they churn out good music. I know that these days women are not afraid to be what they want to be. I've seen women drivers, women mechanics, you know, pushing, going beyond borders. I've seen women cover war fronts. I see that on CNN. So yes, a lot is changing. I see women go into STEM. A lot of advocacy is championed by women. I see women challenge the church. And it's not like we want to be challenging the church, but I know what I'm saying, you know. So I can't say it's all that bad. Women representation in media is beginning to increase. In fact, these days, what I noticed is if you have a panel of analysts, you will notice that there's intentionality at putting 2 women, 2 men. something like that, and it gives me great pleasure. It's a welcome development, but I know they need to do more, whether in the political space, whether in the print media. We can have more female editor-in-chief. We can. It's possible. We can have more female storytellers. Let me stop here for now.
I mean, you're saying so much, and I'm just, so very much interested in everything you're saying, because it hits where it's supposed to hit.
Yeah.
But what would you say that media creators generally can do to further improve women's representation in media, challenge these stereotypes, and just promote like authentic portrayals of women across all forms of media, whether it's music, movies, TV, print, all forms of media generally? What can creators do?
Advocacy and awareness. That's what we're doing. Advocacy and awareness. We need to start criticizing what is wrong and clapping and applauding good things. Do you understand? We're doing it right now. What are we doing? We're telling the people that the way women are portrayed in the media, that we don't like it. You can do better. Celebrate us for who we are, our competence, our contributions, our value, what we represent in the society. That's exactly what we're saying. In every space, be intentional about gender diversity. Don't make it male dominated. Be intentional about lifting women to the top, because it is when you lift us to the top that we will make decisions that will affect women. Let me explain what I mean. Imagine in the what's it called, the news media, where you scout for news, and this woman is supposed to be in Abuja, in Lagos, and all that. What can you do? You can create safe spaces for her. You can. Oh, okay, since you're going to be in Abuja and all that, what we're going to do is, for every place you go, there will be hotel arrangement. It doesn't have to be so expensive. You're being intentional. You can decide to make some jobs remote just to favor the woman, to accommodate her. You know that she just had a child, but we need her brilliance. We need her creativity. Don't use it as an excuse. Say, me, I said it. Once a woman becomes pregnant, she cannot do anything. She now has a child. She will. What if you make room for remote jobs? We have started doing that too. In fact, post-COVID taught us that we don't necessarily have to be in the office to deliver. You can deliver from anywhere. You see, when women are on top, they are going to press for things like this because you've been there. So, awareness and advocacy. That's number one. Number two, mentorship. Women can also support themselves. As a woman in the media industry, assuming TV, you can find someone who is older in the business, a more experienced person, a successful person. How did you break this glass selling? How did you break it? What did you do? And the person will tell you, okay, this is what I did. When you find a mentor, also find a sponsor. A sponsor is one who speaks for you, who creates ways for you. Oh, I did it. Let me link you to this person. We rise by holding each other, by lifting each other. Oh, now I've lifted you, lift other women. Now I've created inroad for you. Imagine if you were a movie producer, and you are intentional about women's representation and women image. I tell you, most of the movies you're going to churn out will be pro-women. That's because the resources is coming from you. The storytelling, you determine the quality of stories they tell. So these are areas we will have to start looking into. The other one is to develop leadership skills. A lot of women are still seeing themselves. Forget how the society sees us. How do we even see ourselves? Do you know that some women are afraid of the top? What is she going there to do? I don't understand this one. Oh, she's supposed to be a mother. If you don't go to that place, how are you going to take care of your children? Who told you there's nothing called work-life balance? So those are the things we have to develop leadership skills. Go for trainings, acquire knowledge. Wherever you are, be intentional about initiatives that promote women representation.
Yeah.
Even where you are in this local place now, your office, you can decide to be intentional about it. For everything we're going to do, we're going to have a woman. You go and research. The guy does not have two heads. You can do it. That's how to push people.
All right. I mean, there is a lot more to unpack in this conversation.
Yeah.
I wish we had a lot more time, but we'll have to end it here for now. Hopefully, I'd like you to come again another time for us to have a good conversation like this. But thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
Yes, and Gender Perspectives will be back in a moment. Do stay with us.
Get plugged into the heartbeat of entertainment on The Hub, your ultimate show on e-vibes. From trending stories and social media drama to top charting music, must-watch movies and exciting moments from the world of arts, we've got it all. Join us for unmissable conversations with your favorite entertainment personalities, plus fun segments every week.
So I should try harder. So
Okay, I don't know that one.
outfit of the day.
Oh, I don't do that. That's some Gen Z stuff.
Oh, now you say it's a Gen Z stuff.
It's everything you love about entertainment, served fresh every week at 1 p.m. with weekend repeats just in case you missed it. The Hubs on e-vibes, where the vibes never stop. Only on Signaturetv.
Welcome back. Now, while we've explored the history and the current realities of women in the media, there are still many myths and misconceptions that shape how society perceives women. Now, some of these beliefs are subtle, others are widely accepted, and they are crucial if we truly want to understand women's representation. So let's take a look at it.
understand, we have seen or noted or something that will show that okay,